CNBC-TV18 Weekender.
Hi guys, it's the Weekender yet again on CNBC-TV18, and this time we thought we'd shake things up a bit, get a little melodious, so we entered the studios of Salim Merchant as well as Sulaiman Merchant, ace Bollywood music composer duo, the people behind big hits like Chak De India, Band Baja Bharat, and the most recent one, the one that they did with Abida Parveen. Let's see what the conversation holds for all of us. Hi, how are you, Sulaiman?
Very good, buddy.
Thanks a lot for having us over. I think Salim's waiting inside, yeah? Let's go. Our guests today are omnipresent people. You'd be cheering for India for a cricket or any other sport match and you'll hear Chak De India. You'll be running away from aunties at a wedding, you'll be hearing Band Baja Bharat. And if you're driving alone in Bombay, trying to run away from traffic, you'll have Shukran Allah, the beautiful song playing on the radio. And our guests today, literally, the merchants of music, brothers Salim and Sulaiman. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And first up, congratulations for 25 years in music and the documentary. Tell us something about Shukran Allah.
It's a film which actually is just shows our journey and our musical experience for all these years which we've been at it. And it was really meant to be like a 3-4 minute film when it started off. But there's the director Shakti Hasija who actually made this. He himself came up to us and said, listen, I'm your fan, I've been listening to your music, you can't just do this film in 4 minutes. It was meant to be just between me and Sulaiman, where we thought we'll just document some of our work and some of our travels and stuff like that, but it ended out to be like one whole film which was beautifully scripted.
There's so much that all our fans ask us about. How did you grow up?
Where can we catch that film?
That film will be available exclusively on iTunes.
Let's rewind. How did it start? Your father was a musician.
He was a music composer, yes.
Right.
He quit the films in 1962 and he was working down south. So he quit, came back to Bombay, tried to compose, did a couple of films, but he realized that the kind of music that was required from him wasn't really the kind of music that he wanted to make. And so he quit the industry completely and he started manufacturing musical instruments. So when we were born, we always had instruments as toys. So he was our biggest mentor, our biggest guide, our biggest inspiration.
Was that the same for you because you had an elder brother and father in music, and that's why the logical transition?
I've been really fortunate because, whatever Sulaiman did, I did exactly the same thing at that same time.
Oh.
The only drawback was when we started learning drums, I could not cope up because I'm 3 years younger to him.
Right.
So I could not, my hands and legs were not as developed as he was. He was, I think he was 12 or 13 and I was about 9 or 10. And at that time I was a little bit too young. So I started learning keyboards because, and Sulaiman started learning keyboards with me.
Right.
But obviously his interest in percussion and drums took him away from the keyboards.
But it was more of the fact that I went to learn piano and the piano teacher said, your hands are not nimble enough. I said, obviously, yeah, we've been playing percussions and, drum coordination versus piano coordination is so different. And he said, you should have come to me when you were 5 years younger, and that's when you start developing your
fingers in the right way. This is actually a very interesting thing which Sulaiman says, and this is for, before you ask me the question, I must say that music, there's a lot about learning, which in today's time is kind of missing. Right. Of course, we still have a lot of people and singers and musicians who learn music, but overall, because of technology, I've been seeing that, you know, more and more, so that people are just picking up music which is basically inspired from loops and gadgets and, you know, technology-driven things like, you know, softwares and stuff like that, which is great. But it's very important to learn the basics of music, and, you know, especially classical music, whether it's Western classical, Indian classical, or preferably both.
I think technology should be used in the right manner. Technology should be able to express your music.
Enhancing your music.
And enhance and express.
Oh, how did the chemistry between the two of you all as siblings come about as children?
We had a lot of similarities because we both learnt music together. So we had that very strong bond. Of course, fights always happen between brothers and sisters.
Sorry to
anybody else.
Has there ever been a time when you took a drumstick and like...
No. That was too mild.
Okay. So, cut to film music. How did that happen? Booth, I think, Ram Gopal.
Well, actually, before that...
it was much before that, there was, you know, we always, when we started doing music, we were, you know, we started playing together, and we had a couple of friends who, you know, called us to sort of work with them, and, you know, as we were working, I was doing keyboard work for some other composers. Sulaiman was also working with some other composer. A couple of times we would, like, you know, sort of do things together, and a couple of ad filmmakers noticed us, so we started working on ads.
Name some jingles that you have done?
We did a lot. We did the Visa commercial, which was really a very popular one. We did the Hrithik Roshan Coca-Cola commercial, which was really, like, done long ago.
Diwali, there was a Diwali one.
One of the first Coca-Cola commercials, and then these were the big ones. We've done
matlab Coca-Cola.
Right.
While working on a commercial and an advertising thing, Sanjay Gupta, the director of Hamesha and many other films after that, he noticed our work and he said, you know, I want you guys to do the background score for my film Hamesha. So that was the first film we did, technically.
Which was the, so to say, first big moment for the big break?
Kaal was like one of...
was a big
moment.
Because that was the first time that we actually composed the song.
Tauba Tauba Ishq Mein Kariyan became a big hit.
In Kaal, what happened was we did this song called Tauba Tauba Ishq Mein Kariyan. Very hip hop, but
a Qawwali.
Yeah. So it was one of those songs which was a complete blend.
Right.
Just like how we were, you know, we were so blended into the roots and the modern, and, you know, a balance of both.
Yeah, like we would listen to, you know, Mehdi Hasan Khan Sahab, and then we would also listen to Michael Jackson, and, you know, so there was like our listening.
Mehdi Jackson.
There was a Mehdi Jackson. Yeah, it was all pretty, you know, kind of nicely cluttered, and we of course were studying. You know, Sulaiman was studying with Abbaji, with Ustad Allah Rafa Khan Sahab's classes and all that. So it was, and then there was Sultan Khan Sahab, who was a Sarangi maestro, was a guru, and so there's so much of Indian classical music and Western classical music. So these were our influences, and we grew up with that stuff. Yeah. So all our music was a reflection of that.
All right, at this point in time, we'll step into a very short break. Come back in a moment. We'll continue our conversation with the merchants of music.
This has come to a roadblock, and I was telling Sulaiman, I think we should leave this film. We've attempted the song 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. 7 times the song was rejected.
CNBC-TV18 Weekender.